Deaf cat detects carbon monoxide. How she saved her owners will shock you. Before we begin, please subscribe to our channel. Your subscription means the world to us and is the only way we can share the stories of these remarkable animals who often go unheard. Your support helps us continue our mission. So please hit that subscribe button now. In the stillness of a quiet suburban night, a darkness creeps into a home, unseen and silent. Luna, a small, fluffy cat with striking green eyes, paces the dimly lit hallway. She is deaf, but her senses are heightened in ways that defy logic. As the clock ticks toward midnight, an unseen danger lurks, ready to strike. Luna, once a lonely soul in a high-kill shelter, now belongs to a loving family who has no idea of the peril that approaches. The air feels different, thick with a tension that unsettles her. She senses it in the way the air presses against her fur, a weight that sits heavy in the room. Confusion dances in her mind. Something is off. An instinct takes over. With a sudden burst of energy, Luna begins to knock over a vase, sending it crashing to the floor. The sound resonates through the house, but her family merely stirs in their sleep, unaware of the danger that envelopes them. Luna leaps onto the bed, her claws gently digging into the blankets, urging her owners to wake up. She is relentless, her heart racing as she fights against the silence that binds her. In those moments, the world outside remains oblivious, but inside the house, a ticking clock draws closer to disaster. Luna knows something is wrong, and she won't give up until her family understands. This is the beginning of a night that will change everything, where a small, deaf cat becomes the unlikely hero in a story of survival. As the night deepened, the suburb lay draped in an eerie calm, a deceptive tranquility that cradled its inhabitants. Luna, the little deaf cat, darted from room to room, her soft paws barely making a sound on the wooden floors. Each step felt purposeful, driven by an instinct she could not articulate, a primal urge to protect her family from the invisible threat that hung in the air. Outside, the moon cast a pale glow over the quiet streets, illuminating the shadows that twisted and turned, whispering secrets of the night. Inside the house, the family slept soundly, unaware of the cat's frantic dance. They were a typical suburban family. Mark, the father, a devoted handyman always fixing things around the house. Sarah, the nurturing mother, who often baked cookies on weekends. And their two children, Lily and Ben, who loved to play hide-and-seek in their spacious backyard. Luna paused by the bedroom door, her green eyes wide with urgency. She could feel the heaviness of the air, the subtle difference that sent shivers down her spine. "What's wrong with her?" Mark's voice suddenly broke the stillness as he turned to watch Luna. The soft light from the bedside lamp painted shadows across his face, revealing a mix of confusion and concern. "I don't know, Dad," Lily murmured, rubbing her sleepy eyes. "Maybe she just wants to play?" "No, it feels different," Mark replied, a sense of unease creeping into his voice. "Cats don't act like this without a reason." Luna, sensing the attention, took another leap onto the bed, claws grazing the soft sheets. The children giggled, thinking it was merely a game. "Look, she wants us to follow her," Ben exclaimed, clambering out of bed. But Luna wasn't playing. She was pleading. With a swift motion, she knocked over a picture frame, sending it crashing to the floor. The sound echoed in the silence, jolting the family upright. "Luna!" Sarah gasped, sitting up and squinting in the dim light. "What's gotten into you?" Luna meowed frantically, a sound that seemed more like a cry for help than a call to play. She darted towards the living room, glancing back to ensure they were following her, her heart pounding with urgency. The family exchanged worried glances but followed, curiosity piqued. "What's happening, Luna?" Mark asked, his voice steady, but the tension was palpable. As they reached the living room, Luna halted, her body tense, eyes fixed on the fireplace. The flickering flames had long since died down, but the air felt oddly thick, suffocating. In that moment, Mark noticed the strange lethargy that had settled over him, the heaviness in his chest that he had dismissed as fatigue. "Wait," he said, narrowing his eyes. "Doesn't it feel a bit off in here?" Yeah, like, hard to breathe, Sarah replied, her voice trembling slightly. Maybe we should open a window, Ben suggested, but before he could move, Luna darted towards the back door, scratching at it, her desperate mews filling the room. Luna, no! What are you doing? Lily cried, concerned for her beloved pet. But Luna refused to relent, her instincts driving her to alert them of the danger lurking just out of sight. At that moment, the family's phone rang, cutting through the tension. It was a neighbor concerned about a strange odor wafting from their house earlier that evening. I don't want to alarm you, but I think there might be something wrong. The neighbor's voice crackled through the line, sending a chill down Mark's spine. There's been a carbon monoxide leak reported in the area. You should check your detectors. Carbon monoxide? Sarah echoed, her eyes widening in realization. Mark wasted no time. Everyone out? Now! He ushered his family outside, taking Luna with them. They gathered on the front porch, the cool night air filling their lungs, a stark contrast to the oppressive atmosphere they had just escaped. As they stood there, the reality began to sink in. Luna saved us, Lily whispered, her voice barely more than a breath. Mark nodded, still in shock. If she hadn't acted the way she did. The fire department arrived moments later, alerted by their neighbor's call. The firefighters swiftly assessed the situation, confirming the presence of carbon monoxide inside the home. As they worked, Luna sat quietly, her green eyes fixed on her family, a silent guardian watching over them. Thank you, Luna, Sarah whispered, tears brimming in her eyes. You're our hero. The realization of what could have happened hung heavily in the air. They could have slept through the night, oblivious to the danger that loomed just beneath the surface. The community began to buzz with the news of the miraculous cat, and soon, Luna became a local legend. Some say she has a sixth sense, whispered one shopkeeper as he set out cat treats, a tribute to the furry savior. Others speculated she must have been waiting for something or someone, but what? As the days passed, the family grew closer, the bond between them and Luna deepening. They installed new detectors, ensuring their home was safe, and every night, Luna would curl up beside them, a reminder of her bravery. Every time I see her, Mark said one evening, his voice filled with gratitude, I'm reminded of how lucky we are. Let's never forget, Sarah added, glancing at Luna, who lay purring contentedly. If this story is touching your heart, make sure to comment from where you are hearing this amazing story. And as the seasons changed, so did their lives, forever marked by the night when a small, deaf cat became their greatest protector, proving that heroes come in all shapes and sizes, often from the most unexpected places. As the days turned into weeks, the story of Luna, the deaf cat who saved her family from a carbon monoxide poisoning, spread through the suburb like wildfire. People marveled at her instincts, her courage, and her loyalty. But amidst the praise and admiration, a shadow began to loom over the family, a shadow of doubt and unspoken tensions that had long been buried beneath the surface. One afternoon, while Mark was tinkering in the garage, he overheard a conversation between two neighbors. I don't understand why they adopted that cat, one of them scoffed. I mean, she's deaf. What kind of pet can't hear? They just wanted a rescue story, didn't they? Mark's heart sank. He had heard whispers before, but this was different. It felt personal. Despite the overwhelming love and gratitude felt by his family, there was a lingering judgment in the community that he could no longer ignore. That evening, at dinner, Mark broached the topic with Sarah. Have you noticed how some people look at Luna like she's less than any other pet, just because she's deaf? Sarah sighed, her brow furrowing. I have noticed some comments, but I thought it was just jealousy. They don't understand how special she is. She saved our lives. I know, Mark replied, his voice heavy with concern. But what if they think we only adopted her because we felt sorry for her? That we're some kind of saviors and not real pet owners? Lily and Ben exchanged worried glances, sensing the tension. But Luna is our hero, Ben exclaimed, his young voice filled with innocence. She's the best cat ever. Exactly, Sarah said, trying to lighten the mood. People can be mean sometimes, but that doesn't change what she did for us. That night, As the family settled in for bed, Luna curled up between Mark and Sarah, her soft purring creating a comforting rhythm. Yet, the undercurrent of doubt lingered, casting a shadow over their newfound bond. Days went by, and Luna continued to be a beacon of strength for the family. But the whispers grew louder. One afternoon, while walking Luna in the neighborhood, Sarah overheard two mothers chatting at a nearby park. "Did you hear about the carbon monoxide leak? They say that cat was just lucky," one said dismissively. "I wouldn't trust a pet that can't hear. What if she does something reckless?" The words stung, and Sarah felt a rush of anger mixed with frustration. Luna isn't reckless. She wanted to shout. Instead, she held her head high and walked away. But the seed of doubt had been planted deep in her heart. A week later, as the family prepared for a community gathering in their backyard, a sense of unease washed over Mark. He knew Luna was a hero, but what if their neighbors couldn't see past her disabilities? He glanced at Luna, who was happily chasing a butterfly, her joy untainted by human prejudices. As guests arrived, the atmosphere buzzed with excitement. Laughter and chatter filled the air, but beneath the surface, Mark could sense the tension. He caught snippets of conversations that made his heart race. "I just don't understand why they chose a deaf cat. It's so unconventional," one woman remarked. "Yeah, it's not like they needed another pet. Their dog could have done the job," another chimed in, smirking. Mark clenched his fists, his protective instincts for Luna flaring. He knew he had to address this. Gathering his family, he cleared his throat. "I want to say something," he began, his voice steady yet passionate. "Luna isn't just a pet to us. She's our family. She saved our lives when we couldn't even save ourselves." A few guests exchanged glances, their expressions shifting from amusement to surprise. "But she's deaf," a man said, a hint of skepticism in his tone. "Yes, she is," Mark replied, his voice rising with fervor. "But her deafness doesn't define her. Luna has instincts and love that transcend what we often perceive as limitations. She's a hero, and we're incredibly lucky to have her." Silence enveloped the gathering, the weight of his words hanging in the air. Sarah stepped forward, her eyes shining with determination. "We adopted Luna because she needed a chance, just like anyone else. And she proved that every day since we brought her home." There was a moment of hesitation, but then Lily piped up, "And she saved us. She's the best cat ever." A murmur of agreement rippled through the crowd, and slowly, the atmosphere began to shift. People began to share their own stories of rescue animals, and the conversation turned from skepticism to understanding. As the night wore on, Luna became the center of attention. Children gathered around her, petting her with gentle hands, and adults began to share their own experiences with pets who had defied the odds. In that pivotal moment, the family realized that their love for Luna transcended the judgments of those around them. They had embraced her uniqueness, and in doing so, they had inspired others to reconsider their own biases. The gathering ended with laughter and new friendships forged, the community coming together in a way that had felt impossible just hours before. As the last guest departed, Mark turned to Luna, who sat proudly in the middle of the yard. "You did it, Luna. You changed hearts tonight." Luna purred, her green eyes sparkling with a knowing light, as if she understood the power she held. In that moment, the family knew they had not only found a hero in Luna, but had also begun to shatter the prejudices that had once threatened to overshadow their love. As they settled down for the night, a newfound sense of peace enveloped the home. Luna lay nestled between Mark and Sarah, their hearts swelling with gratitude. They had faced doubts and overcome them, united by love for the little cat who had saved them. And as they drifted off to sleep, the stars twinkled brightly outside, a reminder that sometimes the most unexpected heroes could light the way through the darkest of nights. As the days turned into weeks, Luna's story continued to dominate the conversations in the neighborhood, her bravery celebrated by many. However, beneath the surface of admiration lay a growing tension that threatened to unravel the family's newfound peace. Mark, Sarah, Lily, and Ben had become local celebrities, but not everyone was pleased with the attention. One evening, As Mark returned from work, he noticed a small group of neighbors gathered at the end of the street, their voices hushed and their expressions uneasy. He approached, curiosity piqued. As he drew closer, he overheard snippets of their conversation. "It's just a cat," one woman scoffed. "What's the big deal?" "It was just luck." Mark felt his heart sink. How could they undermine Luna's incredible act of heroism? He cleared his throat, stepping into the circle. "Excuse me, but Luna isn't just any cat. She saved my family's life." A man in the group, arms crossed, replied skeptically, "Sure, but a deaf cat? What if she had done something dangerous instead? You're putting your trust in an animal that can't even hear a fire alarm." Anger bubbled within Mark, but he fought to keep his composure. Luna's instincts are sharper than you realize. She sensed the danger when we couldn't. We owe her everything. As the group murmured among themselves, Mark turned and walked away, frustration boiling over. How could they not see the truth? He needed to protect Luna, but the criticism left a lingering doubt in his mind. That night, as the family gathered for dinner, the tension was palpable. Mark shared what he had overheard, and the room fell silent. "It's getting to me," he admitted, rubbing the back of his neck. "Some people just don't get it. They think we're crazy for having her." "We know Luna's special," Sarah reassured him, her voice steady. "That's all that matters. Let's not let the negativity affect our bond with her." But as the days passed, the whispers grew louder. Lily and Ben, once excited to share their cat story, began to pull back, worried about what their friends might say. "What if they think we're weird for having a deaf cat?" Lily asked one afternoon, her voice trembling with uncertainty. "Luna isn't weird," Ben chimed in, his voice determined. "She's our hero, but I don't want my friends to make fun of us." Mark and Sarah exchanged glances, their hearts heavy with the burdens their children now carried. They had wanted to celebrate Luna's bravery, but now it seemed they were fighting an uphill battle against ignorance. One fateful morning, the family decided to host a small gathering to celebrate Luna. They invited friends and neighbors, hoping to shift the narrative back in their favor. As the day approached, Mark felt a flicker of hope. Maybe this would be their chance to show everyone just how extraordinary Luna truly was. On the day of the gathering, the sun shone brightly, casting a warm glow over their backyard. As guests began to arrive, Mark felt a surge of excitement. He had set up a small display showcasing Luna's story, photos of her before and after adoption, along with a detailed account of how she had saved their lives. However, as the first few guests trickled in, Mark noticed a familiar expression on some faces, a mixture of skepticism and condescension. The whispers started again. "I don't get why they're making such a fuss over a cat," a neighbor said, rolling her eyes. Mark felt a knot tighten in his stomach. He had hoped this gathering would be a celebration, but it felt more like an exhibition. Despite their best efforts, the doubt in the air was palpable, and he could sense that Luna was aware of it too. As the afternoon wore on, the atmosphere began to shift. Children played games, laughter floated through the air, yet the adults remained uneasy, their conversations laced with hushed tones. Just as Mark began to relax, a loud crash interrupted the festivities. A nearby table had collapsed under the weight of an oversized cake. In the chaos, Luna darted towards the noise, her instincts kicking in. Mark's heart raced as he called out, "Luna, no!" But she was already investigating, her curiosity leading her closer to the source of the commotion. Suddenly, the air felt dense, a pressure that made everyone around hold their breath. The laughter faded, replaced by an uneasy silence. Mark could see a couple of guests exchanging glances, their faces painted with concern. "What if she runs off?" One man muttered. "No one wants a deaf cat running loose," another added, a smirk tugging at his lips. Mark felt the anger rise within him again. She's not just any cat. She has proven herself time and again. He stepped forward, his fists clenched, but the words caught in his throat as he saw Luna freeze, her wide green eyes fixed on something in the distance. Before anyone could react, Luna bolted toward a small shed at the back of the yard. Mark's heart raced as he followed, sensing that something was terribly wrong. As he reached the shed, he found the door ajar, and inside, A faint hissing sound filled the air, sharp and alarming. "Everyone back away!" Mark shouted, adrenaline surging through him. He pushed the door open wider, revealing a small propane tank that had begun to leak. The smell of gas hit him like a wall, and he felt his stomach drop. "Get the kids!" Sarah yelled, her voice piercing through the panic. Luna, undeterred by the danger, stepped closer, sniffing the air. Mark watched in shock as she seemed to understand the gravity of the situation. "Luna, no!" he cried, but she darted inside, her instincts urging her to investigate the source of the danger. "Mark, we need to move!" Sarah's voice broke through his thoughts, but he was frozen, watching Luna approach the tank, her tiny body poised to act. Suddenly, the hissing intensified, and in a swift motion, Luna swatted at the tank, knocking a small valve loose. Gas began to pour out in a rush, and Mark felt a surge of horror. "Luna, get out!" he screamed. But before he could reach her, she turned and dashed back, her green eyes intense with purpose. In that moment, everything changed. The fear of judgment vanished, replaced by sheer awe. Luna wasn't just a cat. She was their protector, once more proving that her instincts were sharper than anyone had ever realized. "Everyone out? Now!" Mark shouted, urgency lacing his voice. The guests scrambled back, fear etched on their faces as they realized the gravity of the situation. "Call 911!" Sarah yelled, her voice rising above the chaos. As the family raced to safety, Luna emerged from the shed, her fur slightly singed but her spirit unbroken. Mark scooped her into his arms, his heart pounding with gratitude and disbelief. "You did it again, Luna," he whispered, his voice thick with emotion. The sirens wailed in the distance as the fire department arrived, and Mark felt a rush of relief wash over him. They were safe once more, thanks to Luna's quick thinking. As the firefighters assessed the situation, Mark turned to the crowd, who now watched with wide eyes. "This is why Luna is special," he declared, his voice steady despite the chaos. "She saved us again." The whispers faded, replaced by a newfound respect and understanding. No longer was Luna just a deaf cat. She was a real hero, a guardian who had proven her worth time and again. As the sun began to set, casting a warm glow over the yard, Mark held Luna close, knowing she had not only saved them from danger, but had also transformed the hearts of those who once doubted her. In that moment, the family realized that their bond with Luna had grown stronger than ever, forged in the fires of adversity and love. And as the stars began to twinkle overhead, the family knew that Luna would forever be their beacon of light, guiding them through the darkest nights with unyielding courage and instinct. As time passed, the family's bond with Luna deepened, and the neighborhood began to embrace her heroic status. Yet, lurking beneath the surface, a new tension began to emerge, one that would challenge everything they thought they knew about their beloved cat and the community they lived in. One crisp autumn afternoon, while Luna lounged in a sunbeam streaming through the living room window, Mark received an unexpected visit from an animal behaviorist named Dr. Elaine. She had heard about Luna's remarkable instincts and wanted to study her further. Intrigued, Mark welcomed her into their home, eager to learn more about his extraordinary cat. Dr. Elaine observed Luna with keen interest, taking notes as she watched her interact with the family. "You know," she began, "deaf cats often develop heightened senses in other areas. Their instincts can be quite remarkable." Mark nodded, proud of Luna's accomplishments. "But there's something else," Dr. Elaine continued, her brow furrowing slightly. "I believe there might be more to Luna's behavior than just instinct. I'd like to conduct a few tests to explore her cognitive abilities." As the days passed, Dr. Elaine returned frequently. She introduced training exercises that pushed Luna's limits, all the while documenting her responses. The family was fascinated, thrilled to witness Luna's intelligence unfold before their eyes. However, during one session, Dr. Elaine dropped a bombshell that would change everything. "Luna has an incredible ability to sense emotions," she revealed, her eyes wide with excitement. "She can pick up on the feelings of those around her, often before they even realize it themselves." Mark and Sarah exchanged glances, intrigued yet skeptical. "Are you saying she can feel what we feel?" Sarah asked, her voice tinged with disbelief. "Absolutely," Dr. Elaine affirmed. "It's not uncommon for animals to have this kind of intuition, especially in rescue situations. They can sense fear, anxiety, and even sadness. It's possible Luna was responding to your emotions on that night of the carbon monoxide leak." The revelation hit Mark hard. He recalled the turmoil and stress that had hung over their household before they adopted Luna. The pressure of work, the struggles of raising children, and the weight of life's challenges had created an undercurrent of anxiety that often filled their home. Had Luna sensed that tension and acted out of a desire to protect them from their own fears? As the realization sank in, the family gathered in the living room, contemplating the implications. If Luna can feel our emotions, then maybe she saved us because she sensed our fear, Mark said, his voice barely above a whisper. "But what does that mean for us?" Lily asked, her brow furrowed in concern. "Does that mean we're not happy enough for her?" "No, sweetie," Sarah replied, kneeling to meet her daughter's gaze. "It means Luna is more connected to us than we realized. She's not just our pet. She's part of our family in every sense." But as they embraced this new understanding, a wave of guilt washed over them. Had they unconsciously exposed Luna to their worries and doubts? Had their struggles impacted her well-being? The family felt a growing urgency to confront their hidden emotions, to be more open and honest about the challenges they faced. That very night, as they sat down for dinner, Mark decided to address the elephant in the room. "I think we need to talk about how we've been feeling," he began, his voice steady yet vulnerable. "Luna senses everything, and if we want to give her the best life, we need to be more aware of our own emotions." Sarah nodded in agreement, her eyes glistening with understanding. "We've been so caught up in our routines and worries. I want Luna to feel safe and loved, not burdened by our stresses." Lily and Ben exchanged glances, sensing the seriousness of the conversation. "We can be better," Ben declared, his youthful determination shining through. "We can make sure Luna knows we're happy." With the family united in their resolve, they began to make small changes. They created a family night each week, dedicating time to share their thoughts, dreams, and even fears. They filled their home with laughter, joy, and love, hoping to create an atmosphere where Luna could thrive. But as they embraced this newfound awareness, they soon learned that not everyone in the neighborhood was willing to change. During a community meeting to discuss the growing buzz around Luna, some neighbors expressed their concerns. "What if she becomes a danger to the children?" One woman questioned, her voice dripping with skepticism. "What if she can't tell the difference between emotions and danger?" Mark felt his chest tighten. "Luna has already proven her worth. She saved my family from carbon monoxide poisoning and now keeps us grounded emotionally. We need to give her a chance." But the doubts continued to swirl. "You're just making excuses for a pet that shouldn't be trusted," another neighbor chimed in, shaking her head. The words stung like daggers, and Mark felt the anger rise within him once again. Had they forgotten Luna's bravery? The family had worked so hard to embrace her uniqueness, yet their efforts seemed to be met with resistance. That night, as Mark lay in bed, he couldn't shake the feeling of frustration and disappointment. He turned to Sarah, who lay beside him. "What if we're fighting a losing battle?" he whispered, his heart heavy. "We can't let their negativity define us or Luna," Sarah replied, her voice filled with determination. "We have to keep showing them how special she is. We can't give up." With renewed resolve, the family decided to host a fundraiser for animal rescue organizations, using Luna's story to raise awareness and support for animals like her. They invited the entire neighborhood, hoping to bridge the gap between them and their skeptical neighbors. On the day of the event, the atmosphere buzzed with excitement and anticipation. As people arrived, Mark and Sarah shared Luna's story, showcasing her heroic acts and unique abilities. They even arranged for Dr. Elaine to speak, hoping her expertise would lend credibility to Luna's extraordinary nature. As people listened, something shifted in the crowd. The skepticism began to fade, replaced by curiosity and admiration. But just as the mood lightened, one neighbor stood up, challenging their newfound momentum. But how can we trust a deaf cat? What if she can't hear danger? In that moment, Mark felt a rush of frustration. Luna has already proven herself time and again. She doesn't need to hear to protect us. In fact, her deafness might be what makes her so intuitive. The crowd fell silent, and for a moment, it felt as though time stood still. As the tension hung thick in the air, Mark realized that perhaps it wasn't just Luna's abilities that needed to be understood. It was the biases and fears within the community that needed addressing. "Maybe it's time we all confront our own assumptions," he said, his voice steady. "Luna may not fit the mold of a traditional pet, but isn't that what makes her special? We can learn from her bravery, her love, and her ability to see beyond what we perceive as limitations." The crowd began to murmur, and slowly, people started to nod in agreement. Mark felt a flicker of hope ignite within him. Perhaps the community was ready to change, to embrace Luna for who she truly was. As the day progressed, laughter and joy filled the air. People began to share their own stories of rescue animals, their own experiences with love and acceptance. Luna became a symbol of resilience, a reminder that every being, regardless of their differences, deserves a chance to shine. That evening, as the sun began to set, casting a golden hue over the yard, Mark watched Luna playing with the children. Their laughter echoed through the air, a testament to the bond they had forged. He could see the shift happening, not just within the community, but also within their own hearts. In that moment of realization, Mark understood that Luna had not only saved them from danger, but had also opened the door to a more profound understanding of love, acceptance, and the beauty of embracing differences. She was a hero in every sense of the word, not just for her bravery, but for the way she had challenged them to grow. As they gathered together, watching Luna play, the family felt a sense of peace wash over them. They had faced their doubts, confronted their fears, and emerged stronger than ever, united by the love for their extraordinary cat. And as the stars began to twinkle above, they knew that their journey was just beginning, one filled with hope, resilience, and the unwavering spirit of a little deaf cat who had changed their lives forever. As the weeks rolled into months, Luna's heroism transformed from a singular event into a profound journey of connection and understanding for her family and the community. Yet, amidst the newfound respect, the initial skepticism from some neighbors still lingered, casting a shadow over what should have been a proud time for the family. One chilly evening, as the autumn leaves danced in the wind, Mark sat in the living room with Luna nestled in his lap. He reflected on all that had happened since the night she saved them. The stories, the gatherings, and the way Luna had sparked a change in their lives and the lives of those around them. But there was still a lingering hurt from the doubt some felt toward her. "Dad, do you think people will ever really understand Luna?" Ben asked, breaking through Mark's thoughts. The innocence in his son's voice tugged at his heartstrings. "I hope so, buddy," Mark replied softly. "But sometimes people just need more time." That night, as the family gathered for their weekly family night, they decided to address the topic head-on. "We've been through so much together," Sarah began, her eyes scanning the room. "And we've seen how Luna has changed our lives. But we also know that not everyone sees her the same way. What if we invite more of our neighbors over?" Lily suggested. "We can show them how amazing Luna really is." Mark's heart swelled with pride at his children's willingness to bridge the gap. "That's a great idea, Lily. Let's plan a community day focused on Luna. We can share her story and maybe even demonstrate some of her incredible abilities." With newfound enthusiasm, the family rallied together, organizing an event that would showcase Luna's unique talents. They decorated the backyard, set up a small demonstration area, and prepared to share their journey, the struggles, the fears, and the ultimate triumph of love and acceptance. On the day of the event, the sun shone brightly, and a gentle breeze rustled through the trees. The family was nervous as they watched their neighbors trickle in, a mix of familiar faces and those who had cast doubt upon them. Mark took a deep breath, reminding himself that today was about Luna and the love they shared as a family. As the gathering began, Sarah introduced Luna, sharing her story of survival, and heroism. "This little cat taught us the true meaning of family," she said, her voice filled with emotion. "She saved our lives, and in doing so, she showed us how to embrace our differences." One by one, they demonstrated Luna's unique abilities, how she could sense emotions, navigate obstacles with grace, and even respond to cues that no one else could see. With each demonstration, murmurs of admiration spread through the crowd, and faces that once bore skepticism began to soften. When it was time for the children to showcase Luna's playful side, Ben and Lily led her through an obstacle course they had created. Laughter erupted as Luna effortlessly navigated the course, her confidence shining through. The neighbors began to clap, the tension in the air lifting as they witnessed Luna's brilliance firsthand. As the event progressed, a neighbor named Mrs. Thompson, who had been particularly doubtful, approached Mark with tears in her eyes. "I didn't understand before," she admitted, her voice shaky. "But now I see how special she is. You've opened my eyes." Mark felt a rush of relief and gratitude. "Thank you for saying that. She's taught us all so much about love and acceptance." The day ended with a shared meal. Everyone gathered around tables filled with food and laughter. Stories were exchanged, and the sense of community grew stronger. Luna, the little hero, lay contentedly at the center, basking in the love that surrounded her. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm glow over the gathering, Mark stood up, raising his glass. "To Luna," he declared, his heart brimming with pride. "May her story remind us that courage comes in all shapes and sizes, and that love knows no boundaries." The cheers that erupted filled the night air, a sound of unity and acceptance. In that moment, the family felt the weight of doubt lifting, replaced by a sense of belonging and understanding. Luna had not only saved them once, she had brought a community together, teaching everyone that true strength lies in embracing differences. As the night drew to a close, Mark held Luna close, whispering his thanks into her fur. "You've changed our lives, little one, and now you've changed theirs too." With the stars twinkling above, the family gathered around Luna, their hearts filled with hope and gratitude. They knew that the journey wasn't over, but together, they would face whatever challenges lay ahead, united by the love of a remarkable cat who had proven that heroes come in all forms. If this story is touching your heart, make sure to subscribe for more incredible stories like this one. Each tale is a reminder of the extraordinary connections we share with our beloved animals and how they can light the way in our darkest moments.